You are now tuned in to DameSmiff.
Welcome to Musician Talks with DameSmiff, and this is episode 31, and today I want to talk about resilience as an artist. Now, before I get started, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and share this video with anybody who's interested in the music industry, advancing their music career, or just want to get better at the soft skills, or you just have general questions about creativity as a whole. But today's topic is about resilience. Now, resilience is the ability to bounce back from tough or difficult situations. And for an artist, this can be paramount in the type of things in the lifestyle that you'll be living as an artist. Because, as I've said in a previous episode, many artists are not consistent in the sense that it's just natural for them to want to continue to do things as they see them and see them through all the way to the end. Most creatives are very spontaneous and pick up things and drop things as they come and go. Now, where resilience plays a role in is if times are getting hard just in life in general, or if the music industry isn't something that you can see yourself being successful in at the time you'd like to be. So for many artists, resilience is super, super important for a career because you can't maintain business without some level of consistency and some level of endurance. So in my experience, a lot of artists, when they reach their first maybe career problem or maybe issue, the first thing they'll turn to is the effects that problem has on them versus trying to find a solution or maybe focusing on the results of that problem. And what that looks like is if you're a musician who's constantly late to your gigs early on in your career, let's say, like you're not making it to gigs on time, or maybe you're forgetting parts of your setup or your instruments and things like that. This can be a super, super big problem for somebody who doesn't know what steps to take in order to fix that issue. So the things that it takes to fix that issue require you to have resilience, whereas some artists will just accept the reality that they are the way they are instead of trying to, like I said, bounce back from difficult times. Now, that's something, the example I gave is something that an artist has control of. It's not necessarily an excuse for a lack of performance or a lack of results, but it is something that does happen to artists. And it can really affect how you view your career going forward. So if if the problems in your career start as little as punctuality, preparedness for the gigs, or even just preparation in general, it can exacerbate into things like legal problems or maybe the relationships you may garner from your experiences in the industry. And again, if you have resilience and you've had these smaller issues, to bounce back from those should be almost small stepping stones for you to bounce back from bigger issues. So let's make an example of a bigger issue. You've recorded an album in a studio, but the engineer you're working with, let's say life happens and something happens to the engineer and they can no longer work with you. For some artists, this can really make or break the results they want from this album. But in actuality, when you're running a business, you still have to run the business no matter what's going on about it. So the resilience in an artist would say, okay, either I can vet and hire another engineer, and if it's possible, have the engineer I enjoy to maybe sit in on sessions and kind of supervise and lead, or perhaps in a more realistic situation where you've already, paid for this and things like that, it may not be in your budget to completely hire a new person. So you may have to have some kind of engineering education yourself as an artist and learn how to do some of these skills so that you can garner similar results that you would want. Because, it's not going to be the same because odds are if you're hiring an engineer, they, studied and know what they're doing. So these are some of the things that artists will run into in reality from your engineer, you losing an engineer to maybe a band member, not making it to a gig or losing something. You can get things where you may get a lawsuit where somebody is claiming that you didn't fulfill your end of the contract during a gig, like maybe the venue claims that you didn't promote or sell enough for the venue to sell out for what you were claiming would happen or for what they expected. So the resilience in an artist would say, okay, I need to be able to handle this to get a result that I can control or that I can expect. Because many artists, and it's not really an artist thing, this is more of an average person thing. The resilience that a person may have can only go so far. So you may be used to handling punctuality problems or, relationship problems, but when it comes to something that's even bigger than yourself, like the law or maybe finances and things like that, things that have been just existing long before you became an artist in the music industry, your resilience level may not be able to handle that. But you can work on these things by understanding the results that you want. So if you know that you need to budget your band's finances in order to maintain the equipment that you need for your band, i.e. mixers, mics, cables, things like that, stands, or whatever, cases for drums or whatever, then you must know that anything that comes from this behavior that doesn't garner a result that you want or expect is typically going to be set on the responsibility of the artist or whoever's in control of it, which in turn is usually the artist. Even if you have an accountant, it's up to you as an artist to understand the responsibility you have to keep everything in order, even for the accountant. So resilience plays a huge role in artistry. Now, to make it on a lighter note, as I said, the things you can work on as an artist to develop better resilience or endurance in these certain issues really starts small and can extrapolate into bigger ones, especially if, like I said, if you understand the results you want. So something as simple as knowing that you need to practice for a gig and not practicing can garner a result that you do not want. So then you will have something bigger to bounce back from. And what that does is it sets you up to be able to not be able to handle that particular problem with enough resilience because you haven't prepared yourself properly. Versus if you were practicing and doing what you needed to do for a gig, and the gig, come the day of the gig, mistakes happen. Let's say you are singing and you accidentally sneeze in the middle of a long whole note or something like that. That's nothing you can really control, but because you've been practicing, you now have the resilience to possibly get back into the act of what you were doing. So like I said, if you accidentally sneeze on stage, it's easy for you to jump back into the song and just collect yourself and then begin as usual. This was something that my band teachers back in grade school were telling me. They were like, when you're playing, we do notice that when you mess up, you keep continuing to play, which is a very good trait to have as a musician, because the worst thing you can have is if you make a mistake and the entire song falls apart. You have to be able to bounce back and jump back into the act and get the job done at the end of the day. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to kind of present the topic so that the conversation can stem from that. I do want to pose a question though. Put in the comments below how you as an artist define resilience for either yourself or other artists. And my second question would be, what are some of the ways that your resilience has been tested as an artist? So, like I said, this is Musician Talks with DameSmiff. This was episode 31. We talked about resilience today as an artist. And like I said before, in the beginning of the video, like, share, and subscribe. I want to try and get this channel up to 1,000 subscribers so that we can live stream and have these conversations, not really face to face, but one-on-one. And that's all I have for you today, and I'm out.